In 2023, as an architecture photographer, I made $235,543. 64% of that came from photo shoots. 16% each came from third-party licensing and educational content, and about 4% came from settling copyright infringements. In this video, I'll break down the pie chart even further so you can see exactly how each of these numbers were achieved. But first, there are two other really important things I want to talk about. Because sometimes the things that you track don't really matter that much, and the things that truly matter can't always be tracked. That's why the first thing I want to address in this video is intentionality. That is, being intentional about the work you choose to do so you can live a fulfilled life. And the second thing I think is really important to discuss is achieving a work-life balance that allows you to enjoy life's journey the way you design it. Because even though I made more money in 2023 than I ever have before, after reflecting on the year, I realized the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I only did the kind of work I wanted to do. I never got burnt out, I kept my stress levels super low, and I spent a ton of time with my family and doing my favorite hobbies and activities. You see, I could have made even more money last year if I would have offered video services to my clients along with still photography. And I could have said yes to numerous real estate photo shoots that landed in my email inbox. And I could have jumped at the opportunity to do a few miscellaneous shoots in different industries when they were presented to me. But the thing is, I don't like doing that kind of work, so I simply choose not to do it. And thankfully, over time, I've built a life and business model that allows me to say no to this low-hanging fruit. I choose to be much more intentional with my time now. I know that if I say yes to a real estate shoot, that will be a full day where I'm no longer focused on the work that does fulfill me. That's a day I could spend shooting a personal project that will help me get in front of my ideal clients. Or it's a day I could spend making a YouTube video to help other photographers, which gives me a lot of personal satisfaction. Or it's a day I could spend clocking out altogether and doing one of my favorite hobbies, like freediving. And in my opinion, shooting personal work, making a YouTube video, or freediving, even though I'm not making money doing these things, is a better use of my time than making an extra $500 from a real estate shoot. Why? Because all of those things set my heart on fire. And the world doesn't need another real estate photographer. The world needs more people with their heart on fire. Now, I realize not everyone is able to turn down work. We all have bills to pay and families to support. I get that. Again, this takes time, but I'll explain a bit about how I got to a position where I can comfortably and confidently turn down work that I know won't be fulfilling to me. You see, I used to have a main checking account for our normal monthly expenses and a main savings account that we used to pull from if work was slow and we needed to cover some bills. We also used that savings account for things like traveling or other large unexpected purchases. And then of course we have other various investment accounts as well, but those things are just kind of in the background and we don't view them as money we can touch. So for our main finances, things just ran out of those two bank accounts. But what I realized is that once the savings account got below a certain number, I felt a constant stress that I couldn't get rid of. It was like a pressure on my chest that came from knowing that if I didn't book any jobs for the next month or two, then we'd have to dip into our long-term investment accounts to pay our bills. I absolutely hated that feeling, and it manifested itself in my everyday life through anxiety and irritability. So when I realized what that threshold was, and for me it was $20,000, I decided to take that amount and put it into another bank account that we didn't touch. The money isn't invested in anything, it's just in a high-yield checking account, and it just sits there. The whole reason the account exists is for my internal stress management. Again, this scenario is personal, and I'm not saying this is what anyone else needs to do, but for me, this little safety net backup account, as I call it, gives me a peace of mind so that I can turn down the work I don't want to do, and it removes all the stress that might have otherwise come up during a slow month. In addition to being intentional about the work I want to do and don't want to do, I also think it's really important to be intentional about the time you spend outside of work. There's a saying that goes, what you track, you can impact. So a few years ago, I started to track the things outside of my work that I deemed were important. But let's back up a little bit. How do I really know what's important to me in the first place? Well, my wife and I wrote out a family vision statement, similar to how a company does for its employees, and we use this as our North Star to help guide a lot of our decisions in life. Years ago, we sat down and asked ourselves and each other tough questions about what truly matters to us as individuals and as a family. And we came up with a little paragraph that sums it up really nicely. We read and review the statement every quarter and every year when we track our goals, just to make sure we're on the right path, and so we can reassess to see if there's anything that needs to be changed. So even though I feel very vulnerable right now because this is the first time I'm ever publicly sharing this, I'm going to read that to you now. Our family vision statement says, We live a full, balanced, healthy, and productive life. Our life is shared with each other and our daughter. It is full of adventure and exciting experiences, freedom and flexibility, world travel, and rewarding work. We have meaningful, healthy relationships with friends and family. We move towards financial freedom on a daily basis. We work to be able to enjoy life and share it with each other and our daughter the way we create and design it. We enjoy life's journey as much as we anticipate the destination. We want to better the lives of each other, our daughter, our friends, our family, and those in the communities we are a part of. People around us respect us. We inspire and motivate people by setting a good example in business, health, fitness, and personal life. And we sum it up with a little alphabetic acronym that's easy to remember and encompasses everything in our vision statement. EFGHI: experience, freedom, growth, health, inspire. Using this statement as my compass, I write out a list of goals at the beginning of each year. I have family goals, personal goals, business goals, and financial goals. I sit down for a few hours or over the course of a few days and once again ask myself what's important to me, what I want to accomplish, what kind of work I want to do, and how I want to spend my time. So now I've used my vision statement and my goals to figure out what's important to me, and I can begin to track those things. Again, the reason why it's helpful to track these things is because we often say things are important to us, but our actions don't always align with what we say. So I'll pull up the Habit Tracker app on my phone now and show you exactly what I track on a daily basis and how I do it. The app shows a long list of all the things I choose to track on a daily basis. At the top of my list is my personal health and wellness category. In this category, I track if I was in bed for more than 8 hours, if I did my morning stretching and breathing practice, which includes 50 push-ups each day, if I did a cold plunge, if I did a workout, if I took a nap or not, and if I ate healthy that day. Under that is the next most important category, which is relationships. So I track if I've spent quality time with my wife and daughter. Did I connect with someone else outside of my wife and daughter? If I spoke to a relative or a friend on the phone? If my wife and I had our monthly date day? If my daughter and I had our monthly daddy-daughter day? And if I spent time with my dog, Hercules? Then I have a list of my favorite hobbies. I won't read them all, but you can see them here. And intentionally last on the list are my work activities. Because even though I do work tasks way more often than I go to the beach, by having work items at the very bottom of the list, I have to swipe past all my hobbies to get there, which is a daily reminder that I should make time to enjoy my life and do the things that I love. Once I do something on the list, I swipe on it and it gets added to my stats. Then I can look at my stats throughout the year or at the end of the year and see definitively if I'm spending my time in a way that aligns with my vision statement and my goals. Side note, I'm not affiliated with the Habit Tracker app in any way, but after doing a bunch of testing and research, it seemed to fit my needs the best. Also, it was a one-time purchase of just $9, whereas most other similar apps were a monthly subscription fee. Look, I know this is a lot, and you might be asking yourself, why am I telling you all about tracking how often I go paddleboarding in a video that's supposed to be about how much money an architecture photographer can make? Well, my goal with sharing all of this is to help remind you that money isn't everything, and it's often just a means to an end. And I would love to inspire you to think a little bit more intentionally about what your end actually is. What are you chasing? What are you working for? Why are you trying to make this money in the first place? Like I said at the beginning of this video, of course I'm stoked that I made good money last year, but what I'm most proud of is how I was able to balance all that work with a fulfilling life. Throughout 2023, my family and I took 3 10-day vacations, and I logged more than 150 activities and adventures. I also did a great job of keeping up with my health and fitness, maintained strong relationships with my wife and daughter, stayed in touch with family and friends, and kept my overall stress levels extremely low. So remember, sometimes when you look at the big picture, the things that you usually track, like money, don't really matter that much, and the things that truly matter can't always be tracked. At least not as easily as money, but as you can see, I'm trying to track them anyway. All right, as promised, let's break down my 2023 income so you can see exactly where it came from. My total gross revenue was $235,543. However, to help give you a more accurate look at things, we can immediately cut out close to $13,000 of reimbursable expenses. This accounts for assistance and travel expenses that my clients paid for, so of course that money didn't go into my pocket. We can also subtract a little more than $9,000 because that was money paid out to my licensing partners from their photo sales, which I'll elaborate on a little bit more later. Then we can deduct nearly $5,000 that was Hawaii state sales tax, which I'm required to charge other companies in Hawaii. So a more accurate total for my income was $208,401. First, let's start off by dissecting the photo shoot category. In 2023, I was commissioned to do 28 photo shoots with an average price of $4,718 per shoot. The goal that I had set for myself in the beginning of the year was 40 shoots with an average price of $4,000. So I realized that while I didn't do as many shoots as I had hoped, my average price was actually higher than I expected. And seeing this helped me to be able to reevaluate and adjust my new goals for 2024. Out of those 28 shoots, 12 were for architects, 8 were for contractors, 3 were for interior designers, 2 were for developers, 2 were for product companies, and 1 was for a retail store. And half of the shoots brought in other project partners to cost share in the shoot. That means my fees were higher on those jobs because more than one company received a license to use the images. Now we'll look at my next revenue stream, which is third-party licensing, and this brought in $37,004. If you're new to this genre of photography, that basically refers to reselling photos to other companies that want to use them. For example, if an architect hires me to photograph a kitchen and then the appliance manufacturer wants to use the same images, I will sell them a license to use the photos. If you're curious about this and need more info on how you can do it to bring in more money from your photography business, I have a whole course on it available at licenseyourphotos.com. So in 2023, I licensed a total of 90 images with an average price of $411 each, giving a total of $37,004. Of that total, $18,482 was for my own images, which means that from the 28 photo shoots I did, I made an average of $660 more per shoot from additional licenses. But naturally, some of those shoots didn't have any extra licensing at all, and some had quite a bit. The other $18,522 in licensing sales were not for my photos. These were images that my licensing partners took, so half of that $18,000 was paid out to them, and I kept the other half. When I say licensing partners, I'm referring to a handful of photographers around the country that I work with as a licensing agent. Essentially, I'm a middleman that gets paid on commission. They send me their photos, and I try to broker deals with product manufacturers to license the images on their behalf. 2023 was actually a very slow year for this third-party licensing stuff compared to the last few years because I was really focused on my photo shoots and growing that part of my business. Now, my third and final stream of income is education. I offer one-on-one consulting as well as various online courses, workshops, and downloads to help other architecture and interiors photographers who are interested in progressing their business and their craft. If you want to learn more about this and see what I have to offer, check out adamtaylorphotos.com/education. In 2023, I made a total of $38,099 from the education side of things. That included 28 hours of consulting calls at $100 an hour, which means that the remaining came from online sales. My Learn to License Your Photos course brought in $11,739. The 4 new workshops I did throughout the year produced $14,692. The replays of workshops that I hosted the previous year generated $4,800. And I secured $4,068 from downloads. These are marketing email templates and sky replacement images. I also uploaded 12 videos to YouTube that I didn't make any money on, but they indirectly helped me market my educational stuff. More importantly, though, they helped to fulfill that last sentence of my vision statement, the one that says, "We inspire and motivate people by setting good examples in business, health, fitness, and personal life." Finally, the last little bit of money I made in 2023 came mostly from 2 copyright infringement settlements, one for $2,759 and another for $6,475. These were instances where companies used my photos to market their business without my permission, so my legal counsel was able to help me get paid fairly from the unauthorized usage of my intellectual property. And if we're being nitpicky here, I also brought in another $1,220 of miscellaneous income from affiliate commissions, residuals, and selling an old drone. I've put in a ton of effort over the years to be very intentional with my work and my time, and as a result, I've built a successful architecture photography business, and I've created an amazing and fulfilling life for myself and my family. My hope is that I can provide some inspiration for you to think about your life, work, and income a little bit differently so you can create the life of your dreams as well. Last year, I made a similar video where I shared my income, and I was super nervous to post it because I was worried that it might come across like I was bragging. But after some words of wisdom from a very good friend of mine, I hit publish, and I can honestly say I was blown away by the response. Everyone was really positive and appreciative of my insight and transparency around a topic that so few people really talk about. So thank you all for that. While this video talks about being intentional and maintaining a work-life balance, the video I posted last year went a bit deeper into various price structures that architecture photographers use and exposed some real-world examples of how working photographers in this industry have priced actual jobs they were commissioned for. If that sounds interesting, or if you want to see how my 2023 income changed from the previous year, make sure to check out that video.